Hello again, this is Rebecca, and today we're going to talk about writing our final essay type, which is combined essays. This is essays that talk about both similarities and differences. And the topic I've chosen for today is one that is very interesting to me, and I hope it will be interesting to you as well. Over the past 2 decades, NASA's Mars exploration program has sent 4 amazing rovers to the Red Planet. Thanks to NASA's detailed, informative website and their use of social media, we have all been able to follow these rovers on every step of their journeys. Many people, including me, have developed emotional attachments to these creatures as we have watched their struggles, failures, and successes over the years. The 2004 rovers, called Spirit and Opportunity, were expected to last 90 days. 90 days! But both lived many years longer. Spirit's final communication was in 2010, and Opportunity stopped communicating during a severe planet-wide dust storm in June 2018. Engineers at the NASA Jet Propulsion Lab Spaceflight Operations Facility sent more than 1,000 commands to try to awaken Opportunity, but they were unsuccessful. So this is a photo from Spirit, one of the last photos it sent back in February 2010. A sol is a word that means a Martian day. So Spirit was expected to last 90 Martian days, and it lasted over 2,000. Those 2 rovers are gone, or not gone, they're still there, but not functioning. But there are still 2 rovers wheeling around on Mars and sending back information every single day. Curiosity has been on the move since 2011, and we were all able to witness the arrival of Perseverance on Mars in February 2021. And today's writing topic will be about these 2 rovers, Curiosity and Perseverance. They are both there doing their work on Mars right now. Sometimes it's obvious whether you should write about similarities or differences, but other times it's not so clear. So let's think about that for a minute. If you have 2 topics that overlap a lot, they have a lot in common and just a very little bit that's different, or compared to ones that overlap just a little, very little similar, and a lot that's different. Or you could have topics where the part that's the same and the part that's different seem to be about equal. If you have this first type, they have more in common than different, write a comparison essay. If your topics have more that is different than in common, write a contrast essay. And if your topics seem to be about equal in their differences and similarities, then you can write a combined essay. If your initial brainstorming shows that your 2 things have important things in common and important differences, you can write a combined essay. Do not write a combined essay if the 2 sides are not balanced, because you will have one weaker body paragraph. If you have important similarities, but the differences are less important, then the differences paragraph will be weaker. A combined essay is also a hamburger, just like all of our others, and it has an introduction. The thesis statement is a little different from the other essay types. It has one body paragraph about similarities, and it has two supporting ideas with details. So this is just the same as our other body paragraphs. One body paragraph about differences, and again, two supporting ideas with details. So we want two similarities and two differences. And then we end with a conclusion paragraph. Because the supporting ideas for the similarities and the differences can't be the same, the thesis statement has to be written a bit differently. But luckily, it's easier than the others. So let's return to the rovers and see what this type of essay looks like. I'm going to start by giving you a little bit more background information before we write the essay. When it was put into service, Curiosity, here it is taking a selfie of itself. Curiosity was the largest and the most capable rover ever sent to Mars. It launched in November 2011 and landed on Mars in August 2012. After Spirit and Opportunity answered the question whether there had ever been water on Mars, Curiosity was sent to find out if Mars had ever had the right conditions to support microbes. And early in its mission, Curiosity found chemical and mineral evidence of past habitable environments on Mars. And it continues to explore the geology of a time when Mars could have been home to microbial life. Perseverance launched in July 2020 and landed on Mars in February 2021. Some of its objectives are to look for signs of past microbial life, to collect information about the weather and atmosphere of Mars, and to test whether oxygen can be produced in the atmosphere of Mars. So after doing some research, I found that Curiosity and Perseverance have these interesting similarities and differences. Similarities are how they communicate, how they get power, their launch methods, and as you can see from the pictures, their overall design. For differences, I found that their cameras are different, and their wheels are different, and their investigative tools are different. A combined essay must use only two similarities and two differences. This is because each idea must be explained in depth. You can't just have a list of single sentence similarities and differences. So I have chosen these ones that I think will be the most interesting. How they communicate and their power sources and their wheels and their investigative tools. I decided the cameras were not so interesting because this is just an increase in the technology in general. So, before we write, let's look at our brainstorming and our mind map that I came up with. So I started with similarities, and I decided I wanted to talk about the communication systems and the power systems. And for communication, I noticed that they both use NASA's Deep Space Network, and they both have 3 antennas for 3 different purposes. And then for the power system, they both use plutonium as a fuel. This is different from Spirit and Opportunity, which relied on solar power, and they both have extra batteries. So notice that in the similarities, this is for similarities body paragraph, that the details for the 2 rovers are the same. I have both and both and both and both. For the differences paragraph, I'm going to talk about the wheels and the tools, like I mentioned. And here you can see that there are differences. For the wheels, Curiosity had a lot of problems getting stuck in the sand, and so Perseverance has had design changes to the wheels. And for the tools, Curiosity has tools for doing work with rocks and minerals, and Perseverance has tools to do work with the atmosphere and the weather. So notice that these details for the 2 rovers are different. I say Curiosity, Perseverance, Curiosity, Perseverance. So I mention both of them for each of the 2 supporting ideas. So this is the outline for our entire essay. And here we have our introduction. For millennia, humans have looked at the stars and wondered if there is life beyond our planet. It has only been recently that any progress has been made toward answering that question, thanks to the rovers that have been sent to explore Mars. Curiosity and Perseverance are the 2 rovers that are currently active on Mars, sending back data on a daily basis. Curiosity and Perseverance share some similarities, but also have some differences. There's our thesis statement. What introduction strategy is used for the general statements in the introduction? Look it over again and see if you have an idea. This one is written past to present. What did we wonder about in the past? And now we're starting to be able to answer that question. For a combined comparison and contrast essay, using the opposite idea strategy is difficult because if you try to do that, you're always going to be touching on one of your topics from the body paragraphs. So, looking at the thesis statement, how is this thesis statement different from those of the other essay types? We've talked about this already, so hopefully you can see here very easily that just like the others, it gives the 2 things being compared and contrasted, and it gives the type of the essay, similarities and differences, but there are no other subtopics. That's all you need to say, those 2 main things, the things being compared and the type of essay. You don't need the subtopics because we'll have similarities in one body paragraph and differences in the other. And by the way, the body paragraphs should be in the same order as they are in the thesis statement, which means that my first body paragraph will be about similarities. When something works well, it doesn't need changing, which means these 2 rovers have some similarities. Oh, first, let me put up the outline to remind you what we're talking about. Now, the sentence that I just read to you, this is our topic sentence. When something works well, it doesn't need changing, which means these two rovers have some similarities. All we need to say there is that we're talking about similarities. And then we have a sentence to start our first supporting idea. To start, they communicate with Earth in the same way. So, communication, and we're saying that they are similar. And now let's give the details. NASA's Deep Space Network uses 3 giant radio antennas located in California, Spain, and Australia to connect with all missions, including the rovers. The rovers themselves both have 3 antennas. Each has a UHF antenna with transmission speeds of 2 megabits per second to a relay link, another antenna to transmit data directly to Earth at up to 500 bits per second, and one that is primarily used for receiving signals. So that was our details about communication. And now we're going on to our second supporting idea. Another similarity is their power systems. Unlike earlier rovers, which used less dependable solar power, these rovers use a radioisotope thermoelectric generator, which converts the heat of the radioactive decay of plutonium into electricity. They also both have lithium-ion batteries that are charged when excess electricity is produced and help in times of peak demand. So you can see that I talked about this topic and this topic. So now let's go on to body 2, which is our differences. And here is our outline again and our topic sentence. Of course, some improvements are always needed. So it's natural that these rovers also have differences. And we're going to start with wheels. Firstly, the design of the wheels changed significantly. And then we'll talk about Curiosity first and Perseverance second. Curiosity can easily get stuck in the Martian sand, so its journeys require extra time to avoid sand. Perseverance's wheels are larger with a smaller tread width, so it's hoped that this will enable it to move easier in sand. Another difference is the types of equipment these rovers use for their experiments. So here, this is about tools, equipment. Curiosity does geological tests, so it has a laser to vaporize rocks and spectrographic tools to measure the chemical elements in the rocks and soils. In contrast, Perseverance has many tools to test environmental conditions. There are sensors to measure weather data like temperature, wind speed, air pressure, and humidity. There is also an amazing new tool that will try to produce oxygen from atmospheric carbon dioxide as a first step towards human life on Mars. So you can see from the outline that I talked about Curiosity and then I talked about Perseverance, and they both had different types of tools. Finally, we come to our conclusion. All in all, it's quite interesting to see what similarities and differences there are between these two most recent Mars rovers, Curiosity and Perseverance. The more we can learn from their exploration, the better the future trips will be. So what do you notice about the concluding sentence? Just like the thesis statement, it has no subtopics, only the two things being compared and the essay type are needed. So, just to give you a little bit more information, one more thing that these rovers have in common is that they both like to tweet. And you can see that I follow these two rovers and I get updates about what they're doing on their travels. And also, did you know that E2 has its own rover development team? You can go to the website and learn about previous year's rovers, and you can see the different departments that participate. All kinds of different departments are required to build a rover. So if this is something that might interest you, feel free to take a look. And finally, these are the sources that I used for my research. I hope you've enjoyed learning how to write a combined essay with the Mars rovers. There is so much fun stuff about the rovers at the NASA website. I really encourage you to explore it and see what's there.